Do we have any announcements? Any committee announcements? I'm sure there's some. Jamie?
Drive provision, June 21st. We are still looking for it. It's an early process, but any more sponsors, any players, contact Kyle, Travis. You can contact me if you want, and I'll walk next door to work and tell him. Would love to have a full house and be back on the normal. We're back on the normal schedule with that. That'd be good. And any prizes that you might have. If you got some good swag that goes along with what you're doing, and you want to give us some, that would be good. And Eyeglass is still in the same situation that it's been. We've got a little bit of sorting going on with that and cleaning of glasses. A good note on Eyeglass, the respecs, which is where we send the glasses that we do not use, and they recycle them, did pick up 4 pallets from us last week, and I think they've got their stuff together now. They had a lot of problems with COVID out there. And anyways, I think we're pretty well organized with that, and that process should be working pretty well. Hope to open it up a little bit more as things go along. I know Am's been there, my wife Gail. They usually have 3 or 4 people on Wednesday or Thursday. And the basic rule is be vaccinated and wear a mask if coming. But it's not a set time. It's not a regular Tuesday night like it was before. Our whole setup's a little different than that. That's all I got as far as announcements for
Okay,
tonight.
I'll come back to you for
Okay.
Happy Bucks. Guests.
Yes, I have a guest, Steve Oberon, related to,
Stand up, Steve, so we can see you.
Steve joined his father at Raymond James, was it about 5 years ago? Yeah. 5 years ago. And after all this time, I think he's pretty well got Mark straight now.
No, I don't think so. He said somebody's got to work.
Yeah, you couldn't straighten them up.
Steve, can you tell us about Dad?
He's doing well. Yeah, he had a health scare a couple of weeks ago. They think they figured out what's going on, so he got all his medication lined up, and it's going well. So he sent his best. In fact, I think he was going to try to join today, but if he's not on there, then just know that he is doing well, and he should be back to town here in a couple of weeks.
That's great. We have another special guest today, all the way from Germany via Ada, Michigan. Lion Andreas Strobel, if he'll come up here, and I'd like, he's a Lion from Germany. He's been Lion for 3 years and has been here since the fall. And I'd like him to tell a little bit about himself and a little bit about Lions in Germany. Cool.
So welcome everybody. Thank you very much for inviting me. It's really a pleasure. It's very interesting for me to be here. I didn't prepare a big speech or a presentation or something like that. I just, I'm a Lions member in Germany for 3 years now in Neumarkt, what is in the southern part of Germany in Bavaria, very close to Munich, Nuremberg, in this area. I like the idea behind becoming a Lion. I'm very, very proud to be a Lion, because this is really how we can give a little bit back to people who need it more than we are doing. It's really good to serve people. So we are a club founded in 1973 in Neumarkt. So more than 50, almost 50 years now, 44 members. What we do, we spend most of our activities to collect money is we have jazz musicals where we collect money for donations. We have also a so-called, I don't know if you don't have that much. That's very big in Europe. It's a früh shoppen. This means people meet in the morning, 10, 11 o'clock, to have a beer and eat some pizzas. And
I like that. We can start that.
Sound like a good fundraiser.
yeah.
Jeff's in charge. Tell Jeff.
And get eat some Weißwurst, probably know. So this is where we collect roughly 15,000-20,000 euro per year. We also have a so-called Krapfenaktion. Krapfen is more or less the German answer to your donuts. And once a year, when there's Carnival in Germany, we try to sell the donuts to companies. So we buy it from local bakeries and sell it to with some extra money to big companies. And the money what we collect from there is also roughly 5,000 euro per year. It's also for special donation. So in total, the last 48 years, we were collecting 1.5 million euro in donations and activities, and we spent the money roughly 10,000 euro per year for local schools, kindergartens, sport clubs, and so on. We spent 25,000, a big portion of it per year, to disabled people. We have two bigger activities, one in Uganda and one in Ethiopia. Uganda, we founded a school. We built it more or less from scratch, from zero. We did a building. We more or less financed the whole school. Per year was 10 teachers, where we take all this cost. This is roughly 15,000 euro per year with donations. And also we finance a hospital in Ethiopia. It's more or less how we collect our money and how we spend this money. For me, it's very interesting just to get in touch with people from here, to do some networking. Also, I'm very interested in how you are doing your activities. How you collect money? What are the projects where you spend the money? How do you serve other people? It's very, very interesting for me. Personally, I'm 41 years old. I'm married with 2 kids. The bigger one is Noah. He's 4. The smaller one, his name is Lion, like the lions here. In Germany, it's called Leon. So he's 2 years old, and I work in a company, mid-sized company in Grand Rapids. The name is SUSPA, S-U-S-P-A. We are producing mainly gas struts. When you open your hood or your trunk from the car, these are the little devices supporting the opening. This is a company with headquarters in Germany. This is where I worked mainly the last years, and since November last year, I became the chief operating officer of our entity in America.
Thank you.
Do you have any questions? Anything I can let you know? I'm open.
Did you bring your family with you?
Yes, of course. We had the plan originally to come here in May last year. This is my work visa and everything, and then there were some struggles with COVID and also some proclamations from President Trump, what made it much more difficult for us to come here. Yes, we came with the family. The original plan was to stay here for 3 years. Now, as we started half a year later, we need to see how that develops. We plan a lot of investments over the next 2 to 3 years in our company here in Grand Rapids. So millions over millions of US dollars, and this is also one big part of my job, to bring our company to the latest state of production with full automated lines, and just to bring it up to speed.
A few years back, my wife and I, we went on a riverboat tour, a kinder market tour.
Okay.
And on that, we saw a number of Lions clubs that were working at kinder markets.
Okay.
Just wondering if you guys got involved with that.
You mean Kingdom Markets?
But it's Christmas time.
Christmas market.
A Christmas markets.
Yeah,
Okay.
they call it, we're telling us they were Kindle or Kinder.
Christkindlesmarkt.
Okay.
Christ.
Maybe it's Kindle,
Yeah.
Kindle market.
Yeah.
Maybe that's how,
No, it's definitely, it's a
Yeah.
Christkindlesmarkt. It's it's the market around Christmas.
Yes.
Not be in Neumarkt, but it's very, very usual that that you have a hut there and selling this Glühwein, what is a hot wine, or even
Yeah.
beer. So not only for Christmas, but also in Germany we have a lot of these festivals in the summertime where we have more or less a lot of huts around the old city of Neumarkt, and there we also have huts and we collect money while we serve alcohol.
Great.
We look forward to having Andreas involved with us. He's obviously staying at a Lion in Germany, but once you're a Lion all over the world. So we're looking forward to having him involved with us and meeting his family. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for being here. Tail twister.
Yes. Don't you stand up here so you don't have to carry that machine around?
That would be awesome.
Except for, when I get money from people, but, waving pins today this week that we have very few people that, are able to make it, and yet we got a decent turnout here today, so, showing up with or without a pin is just fine today. So that's first.
Next.
Guests are, yeah.
Very good. Yes, they're done.
Guests are done, yeah. And we have Happy Bucks, but one of the things I wanted to say, a lot of times, I think most everybody in here knows, when you go on a trip or something like that, you may give some money before or after. I'm naming them vacation donations, okay? I'll start it off. I'm going to be in Florida next week, and if anybody else, Ed's ready to give me his money, so I'm not going
$20 before, now I'm giving $20 now. Maybe more.
That's for the tan.
With the team.
Okay. Lynn's here, need some money on that. This is a good time of year to collect money on that because everybody's going somewhere. Yeah, I just couldn't stand still on top.
I'm just trying to get the sun to not.
Okay, anybody else that's been
Wash you
on
out.
a trip or come back or?
I'm going out on a trip, so.
Yeah, he's going on one. They'll be betting bigger than that.
Yes, I will.
Okay. And Happy Bucks.
I got one happy buck. I got a puppy.
Oh,
Nice.
He's got a
Jamie.
puppy. Yes.
I just got back from Arizona. I'm going back in a couple weeks.
Oh, okay.
Nice.
Went out there and stayed at Mom and Dad's place.
Some golfing. Work a
Yeah.
little remote, yeah.
Yeah. That
Work a
works.
little
That
remote.
works. Nice remote work. Any
Ed,
others?
I want to know if Ed has another 20. You have another 20 in your pocket?
What do I need another one for?
To get your gavel back.
Oh, yes. Years, that's been a year.
It's just to get your gavel back. This,
Well, you know, it's really bad.
and it does say Ed Tower.
You stole it, right.
President,
I think you did.
2018 to 2020. Okay,
The $20.
so
It's going in my pocket.
Let's see, can we get it again?
It's been
I
everywhere.
think I need a picture of that. Get back
Okay.
there. Finally got your gavel.
Finally got my gavel. I was doing good deeds and they stole it.
Okay.
we have a tradition that the gavel disappears
Oh, okay.
and it travels.
You need to buy it back.
So that's been gone for 2 years.
2 years.
Okay, this is a good day, like I said. Yeah, very
I'd
good.
like to know how you got it back.
I had nothing to do with it.
It was in the camera. It was in the camera.
Oh, we have one more guest I forgot to acknowledge. Rick Walker, it's good to see you back.
It's COVID.
I understand, Rick. It's still good to have you back.
Yes,
Drew, it's good to see you too.
thank you.
So I'd like to introduce our speaker for the day, our next speaker.
Hey, can we do this a minute?
I'm sorry. Everybody forgets that when they get up,
I know.
don't they? Automatically. It says there, do the raffle. Thanks. I sit back there and I go, how can you forget the raffle?
Easy.
And then I forget it.
There's $314 in there, so 157 to
Oh, you
order.
did an audit.
I actually added it up. Well, plus whatever today's date is.
Okay. Want to watch mine for me?
Yes.
We'll,
So on the
go over
raffle,
to,
the first winner gets $5. The first ticket out gets $5.
this thing's not easy.
You're right here first.
You know what? And
What
I'm
is-
gonna
I'm gonna
give-
have
I'm gonna give you my tickets because we didn't give you tickets like we normally do. So you've got mine to pick from in case you get one.
Okay.
Maybe you'll win.
Pick one ticket.
Okay. And now I need to give the number or
Oh, you can
Yeah.
read the last four numbers.
9023.
Rick Walker gets $5. Okay, and we have one more drawing.
$5.
No, you don't. No, that, now we're gonna pick one more ticket, and the next ticket
Okay.
gets
And
to,
the next one is 8662.
That would be Jamie Dennett.
8-6.
All right.
It was close.
That's me.
It was close.
He'll split it with you. If
So
he
this
wins, he'll
one-
split it with you, guaranteed.
That was the plan.
Okay. I don't
Andreas,
think-
on this, we start with 52 poker chips.
Okay.
Yeah, but I don't
One of
think
them
that
is
I
white.
should be dropping the white chip in the bag and making the draw for it. So
If you pick out the white chip,
Okay.
you get half of the whole pot. If nobody wins, it rolls over.
Okay.
So how much is in there now?
$315.
Total. So you get half of that.
I think it's good.
I'm not picking it.
I am.
Normally at the end, you got about a
She was-
thousand.
she was
Okay.
looking at me.
Oh, well.
By the time somebody wins.
Go red.
Let's see, I got 4 of them there.
Oh.
I lose.
All right, now we're up to
Okay.
400 next time. Great.
Hey, at least you had a shot.
Thank you, Jamie. So it's my pleasure today to introduce our speaker, our own Lion member, Tony Zoellner. And also a great pleasure because I knew Tony's dad, Tom, was a member of the club for 20 years, back in the early 80s, through the early 2000s, and also sister, Lion Ann. Tony was in the family business for 40 years and looks like he had every position. Comptroller, sales manager, vice president, president, chairman of the board. And after 40 years, he is going to tell us what he's doing with his life now. So Tony, Tony is also one of our new members. He's been a member for a year and a half and is on our membership committee. So we're happy to have him on the membership committee. Tony, it's all yours.
Thank you, everybody. Thanks for having me. Just a little clarification. I actually worked in the family business for about 12 years, then I broke off and joined a number of different companies. So I was the CEO or on the executive team of about 5 different companies. So I got a real good exposure to different environments, different leaders, different owners of companies. And so fortunately, after 40 years of grinding it out, I was able to have the means to be able to give back, as well as do something that I'm passionate on, and that's people, building teams and building amazing teams. So today, I'm a certified partner of the Predictive Index, and so my talk today is really more from an educational standpoint, but I'm going to tell it through the lens of this tool that I use in my company called the Predictive Index. So what's keeping leaders up at night? Employees. Do you have the right ones? Do they feel good about their job? How do they feel about their leader? How do they feel about the direction of the company? Do I have the right people on board? Do I need to ask some people to leave? And those are all important things. Also, my strategy with COVID, we obviously had to shift our strategy. At least some of us have. So do you have the right strategy? And most importantly, are the stakeholders in my company, are they buying into that strategy? Do they believe it? Because if they don't believe it, they're not going to be producing for you, or they may leave. And do I pivot? Have I changed for COVID? Have I made the types of changes in my strategy to adapt to the changing marketplace? Let's slip over there a little bit more. So, of all the things on your shoulders that you need to tackle, I want you to think about one thing, and that is your team. I'm a people person. I'm a team building person. So what do you need to do to get the job done? Use objective data to understand how your team gets results by eliminating your bias. And although you probably won't admit it, all of us have a bias. I think we found in our lives when we hire people, we often hire people we like. We often hire people that are like us. And it's important that having a different approach, a different view of the world can actually lead you to have a better team. Lean into conflict. Most of us avoid conflict, and the importance of building a team is to be a humble leader, realizing your strengths and your blind spots. Most of us maybe feel that as a leader, you have to do everything correctly. You have to be good at everything. And I think by leaning into the fact that you're not good at everything and you need people on your team to complement what you do will help your team understand you. Because even though you might not admit what your blind spots are, I guarantee you one thing, your employees are talking about you at the water cooler. You may not like that, but they are, because they know your blind spots. So the important thing is if you share and say, hey, I'm an innovative guy, I'm a risk taker, but I am very unorganized. If they hear you say that, they will buy into that, they understand that, and they'll help you out. Also, I'm sure you have members of your team that you may not click with, or there may be a couple members of your team that don't get along together. And it's so important at some time in the business cycle that you're taking the time to get people together that don't work together well and have them talk about that. Hey, how come you and I don't connect very well? And that's how you align teams to do the work that they do best, by understanding their skill set and aligning their behaviors to the type of work that they need to get done. I don't know if any of you have watched or read the book Moneyball. It was Billy Beane who ran a low budget Oakland Athletics. Had little money, very poor performing team. So what he did is his philosophy resulted on research and analysis. He hired a statistician from Harvard who had no idea what baseball was about. And he said, I want you to tell me who are going to be performing the best by looking at data. He debunked the antiquated baseball scouting process of visually assessing candidates. So he didn't care what they looked like. It's did they have the right statistics to be a good performing player on the team. As a result, he won the 2012 and 13 American League West title by looking at data, didn't look at people. So why understand behavior? It improves communication and collaboration. All of us communicate in different ways. All of us collaborate in different ways. So understanding what the dynamics of that can greatly change how your team acts to build them effectively. And the other thing is it allows you to hire and onboard the best fitting people. Oftentimes, using our bias, we look at people and hire people that we like. We hire people that have our same viewpoints and way that we do things. But if you look at the role that you're looking at and look at the best people that may be filling that particular role, that you're hiring somebody else for that department or team, to analyze their behavior. So when you're looking at candidates, you're going to look at the under the hood behavior of those people to make sure that you're getting a good fit for that particular role. So what I do is talent optimization. All of us have a business strategy. We spend lots and lots of time working on that, and we should. That's what drives our company and our sales, and we want results. And that's what we spend all of our time on. The important thing for me is to show people how to work on the people that make it happen. Because strategies are just tactics on a piece of paper. So it's really diagnosing your team, asking them anonymously, how do I like my team? How do I like my job? How do I like the company? Are they clear in how they communicate to me? Ask them that to find out how they really feel. And if you ask them anonymously, they're going to tell you that answer. And also, like I've been talking about, designing your team, getting the right people doing the right type of work. And then also, lots of us, as we get older, we hire new people, they don't have experience, and they need help on how to manage other people. They may manage people that are 20 years older than them, that may have a dominant personality, and it's so important for them to give them the tools to be able to learn how to be effective managers. And then as I spoke about, how to hire the right people and taking away your bias and looking at their behavior and how does it fit the role that they need to fill. So the predictive index uses 4 different factors: dominance, your degree that you want to dominate the situation, extroversion, are you patient or impatient, and are you formal? Are you rule-based or do you like to freewheel things? And there are all kinds of analysis tools in the marketplace, and they're all great. They're all accurate, and they're all a very good tool. So everybody does this. And I don't care what tool that you use, it's important that you do a tool on yourself to find out what kind of person you are. You may know who you are, and you may not. So finally, there's a group of scientists that get it, and that is they use behavioral analysis with context. So what does that mean? Context is the relational dynamics in a simple workable framework, which I will show you. So it will show how you fit in this framework relative to the people that you work with. And that team dynamics change as your objectives change. What got you to the dance this year may not get you to the dance next year. And so that takes different types of behaviors to get you to that point. And understanding your strengths and blind spots, not as a person, but how are you collectively as a team, just like a football team. You have to have strengths in lots of different areas, and they may not be what your strengths are. So I'm going to play this real brief video that really explains that part really well. Okay, so basically what that shows, and so what that shows is that the dynamics of a leader are different than what you think they are. Okay, so everybody also has a bias in what a leader looks like, and sometimes we act and aspire to what we think that is. And really depending on the context of who you're working with and what your objectives are, it takes a different type of leadership. So this is the, sorry about that, Cheryl. Okay, so this is the world of work that we use, and there was one client that I worked with, her name was Erica, and she worked in this innovation and agility quadrant. So this is the quadrant that different behaviors fall under. And Erica was high in innovation. So as your personality is more dominant, you're going to be out near the outer scope. And there are lots of people that are right on the border, so they're able to easily flex into doing different types of things. But Erica, very outspoken, loved to take charge, loved to chat, high risk. She loved to take risk, and she was very impatient, and she didn't like to go by the rules. She liked to break the rules. So you see a lot of entrepreneurs with that kind of behavior. I, on the other hand, I'm kind of down here in teamwork and experience. So I like to work with teams, develop people, promote them, develop them. So here's just one case study that our company worked on. And it's kind of a good story because it kind of relates to the hospital fight in Grand Rapids. We have a Spectrum, and then we have a hospital like Metro. Sorry, my clicker's not working. So this hospital, market changing, high demand for minute clinics, patients wanted speed and convenience, board pressure to expand, legacy mindsets, long history of success, and they were losing market share to the competitors. So they took their team and put them on this graph behaviorally. What they found was they had a leader who was process-driven, risk mitigating leader. Think of that within a hospital context that makes sense. Hospitals have to be accurate. They have to have processes that work, that's reliable, that's consistent. Patients need to be happy. So that kind of environment, that kind of team needs a leader that is also in that, and found that most everybody was in that behavioral quadrant, which made sense. But what they found was things had changed. They don't have anybody that behaviorally loves to wake up in the morning and be innovative and think of new ideas and taking risks. They also found they didn't have people that were results and discipline oriented, that woke up in the morning and said, I got the goals, I got the product, I need to deliver, I need to make contact, I need to make sales. So they felt that with the change that they need to evolve into a different type of hospital, that they needed to change. So they looked at what their objectives were, which uses the same framework. I'm not going to go over all of this detail, but they found they needed to create and redefine their brand, launch a new line of products. They needed to get a team department that will help expand their business. They found they needed to outmaneuver their competitors. They needed to drive growth through increased sales. So what did they do? They looked at their strategies and they realized that their objectives now, instead of being process-driven, lots of details, procedures, that they needed to think outside the box. They didn't have anybody. So they hired somebody that in this case, they promoted somebody who'd love to get up every day to think outside the box, think of new ideas, be creative. They also found they needed to stretch as a team. Here's a team that every day they had to talk about processes and consistency and good results. So they had to talk as a team to say, okay, our natural inclination is to be exact, but we need to deliver. We need to get these clinics opened. We need our patients happy, so we need to change. But at the same time, they realized that because we're so detail oriented, that's also a very good thing. So they need to, while this person is thinking of all these creative ideas on things to build the company forward, that these people were good at thinking through that process. So you got a wild person idea, hey, let's try this and try that. They have a great team to say, I like that idea, but it's not going to work. I like that idea and it will work, and here's why. And they list off the reasons and the process they need to implement those thought processes. So as a result, I don't know what's happening. So as a result, my clicker doesn't work. So as a result, they had a new go-to-market plan. They purchased one plant, they're building 2 more, and they're establishing a local footprint. So what got them to the ball game wasn't the same team that they needed to move forward. They needed to understand themselves. So I think I'm good on time. I wanted to cut it a little bit shorter. And so what can you do to build an amazing team without my tools that I have? Okay, how do you build your dream team? Understand your leadership strengths. You need to understand who you are. And most important, what are your blind spots? What are you not good at? And areas of synergy and conflict with your team. As I said earlier, be open with your team on who you are as a leader and why you need them. I'm glad this happened now instead of later. Okay. Okay, I'm just gonna wing it. Okay, so you need to understand yourself. Understand who your team is and what's their behavior. What are they good at as a team? What are their blind spots as a team? And rather than constantly talking about your strategy, what are your tactics to get that strategy? Spend a little time with your team to say, let's talk about us, and not about how we're going to do these tactics, but how are we going to do it as a team? How are we going to talk together? How are we going to communicate with the rest of the company? So to understand that dynamic, and then most importantly, understand the dynamics of your team within the context of what you're trying to do. So if you need innovation in new products, you need to lean on the people in your company that love doing that. Most people hate processes, writing manuals, but there are people, believe it or not, that love doing that. So if you need a objective where your quality control isn't good, assign that person to do that job or to help somebody else who may be innovative, but need someone to hold them in check to make sure that they're doing it and they're documenting it properly. And then most importantly, take the action as a team and talk about yourself, talk with your team, talk about what needs to be done and who's going to do what type of work in there. So if anybody wants to, my email is tonyzoellner@gmail.com. You can send me that and you can have the behavioral analysis done. There's no solicitation on my part. You'll get an email that'll show the report, kind of what your strengths and weaknesses are. If you want to do it, you can do husband and wife and kind of see how you guys work together as a team. I would love to be able to dial that down.
I'd love you to.
We all have our strengths and blind spots. And then also, if you have a team, I'd be happy to look at that from a behavioral standpoint compared to your objectives and show you how that is done. That's all free of charge. I'm happy as a line to help you out on that. So that is how you build amazing teams. Thank you, and thanks for the opportunity.
Thank you, Tony. I can see how that can apply to business,
Yes.
maybe even to nonprofit organizations
Absolutely.
and families. So we have a
All
thank you here for
right.
you.
Thank you.
Also, I have a personal gift for you.
I did need an extra.
A small
Yes.
raised pen, and it's nice and small, so it's kind of innocuous. You can hide, probably help this room and all the, already has one. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, and thank you to our guests, Stephen and Andreas, for coming. And great to see you. Rick, great to see you. And it's always great to see Keith, our senior member. So it's good to have you back. And next week, there is a virtual meeting, which you'll be getting an email about, that is actually a Lions Club orientation meeting that our membership committee is running. So if you want to find out more about our club and what we're doing, that'll be available. That'll also be recorded so we can come back and look at it. But that'll be at 12:15 on Tuesday. And our next meeting here will be on the 20th, Tuesday. We're adjourned.
Hey, thanks for going in.